Everyone to the July meeting of the.
This meeting is being recorded.
Let's start over again. Let's welcome to the July Stockton Astronomical Society meeting. I hope everyone is in good health and doing well. This evening, we're going to have some interesting presentations. I do want to mention that right after that, I would like everyone to stick around. We have an important thing that has to do with Zoom, and we need to pass something in order to continue doing it. So please, we need your vote. So, and then maybe another announcement or two after that. So with that in mind, and you're promising to stick around, I'm going to have Jeff go ahead and start the presentations.
Howdy, everybody. We have Jason Keys, Jerry Hyatt, Paul Kovacik, and Tim Clark. I say Kovacik. And Tim Clark talking tonight, and I don't care which order you guys want to come in. So somebody just chomping at the bit to start.
Jerry.
I'll be glad to.
All right, so Jerry's going to start this member Summer Skies Fun Time. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and let you talk.
Okay, so get oriented to my screen here. I told Jeff that Sagittarius was my favorite constellation, and I'd be willing to talk about that a bit tonight. For most of my life, I thought Sagittarius was my sun sign. That is the place where the sun was when I was born. But the sun sign dates are actually set by astrologers, and they were locked into the year 68 BCE. They did not take into account the precession of the equinoxes. So the dates don't match anymore. Find my photos. So if you see the photo here, we have the North Celestial Pole, which the Earth spins about, and we have the ecliptic pole. The ecliptic, of course, is the path of the Earth's orbit around the sun. And the celestial pole rotates clockwise, or wobbles, about the ecliptic pole, so that the equinoxes, they rotate about as well. So where the sun is on any particular date changes over time. It changes slowly. The cycle is about 26,000 years, but enough time has passed since 68 BC that the vernal equinox does not line up with the zodiac the way astrologers have it set up. The vernal equinox is in Pisces now. Even astronomers have this goofed up a little bit, because the dotted line here is the ecliptic, and the celestial equator is across the middle, and where the sun crosses the equator, that of course is the, in this case, the vernal equinox. It's coming from south to north. So it starts here and goes up, and we see that it's in Pisces. We still call this the first point of Aries, even though we can see that it's nowhere near Aries anymore. Just as the autumnal equinox over here in Virgo, we still call this the first point of Libra. So even astronomers are a little behind on this. It turns out that when I was born, the sun was in the constellation Ophiuchus. So I've been abandoned, so to speak, astrologically. Ophiuchus isn't even recognized as a zodiac constellation in astrology. So not that I believe in any of the claims made by astrology, but I did feel like Sagittarius was my home team, so to speak. So I was rooted for it. And even though I find out that, I'm not really from there, I still enjoy Sagittarius a lot for lots of good reasons. And I'll go over a few of those tonight. So back to our Sagittarius over here. Sagittarius is the archer, and it's often depicted as a centaur, and a centaur is a crazy creature, half man, half horse. In other words, it has the thorax of two different animals, a human thorax and a horse thorax. So it has two hearts, two sets of lungs. Whoever created this, it had some confusion going on. The Minotaur, which is a bull head on a human, the Satyr, which is started off in ancient times as a man with horse characteristics, and it gradually became a man with goat characteristics. But both of those are two legs. They share one single set of body parts, unlike the centaur, which has two sets of many body parts. Now, the other crazy thing about Sagittarius being a centaur is there is another centaur in the sky not very far away. And this is the constellation Centaurus. It's a little farther south than we can usually see. And but it's actually, both of these centaurs depict the same centaur. There was one centaur that kind of rose above the rest. His name was Chiron. He was supposed to have wisdom, whereas most of the other centaurs were fairly mischievous bunch. But Chiron was honored by being placed in the sky. He was the teacher of Hercules and such, but represented in two places here in the sky. And some people claim that the reason for that is that, Sagittarius wasn't always depicted as a centaur. Sagittarius was depicted as a satyr. In one case, the satyr was Crotus, and Crotus was also fairly wise, because satyrs were just party animals. And Crotus invented the bow, which would have made a satyr a very good representative for the constellation of the archer. Either way, we have a half man, half farm animal creature who is armed with a bow. So we wouldn't want to run across them. So let's back to where we want to be here. Okay, so I'm going to say, how do we find Sagittarius? I'm going to get rid of the pictures up here. And there's a teapot here we typically recognize in Sagittarius, and I'll put the lines in just to make it a little clearer. So two ways we typically find this. First, July, August, September skies. I have this set for Saturday night, the 16th. So this might be what the skies look like, except I've got city lights in the background here. Hopefully we won't have, probably have a better sky even in up at McCalmany Hill for that party. But if you're familiar with Scorpio or the Sprite Red Giant Antares, the teapot is like the arrow going through the bow, more or less aimed at the heart of the scorpion. So if you know where that is, you can find the teapot. Other good way to find it is move up a little bit towards the summer triangle. We have Deneb, Altair, and Vega. A line from Deneb through Altair will pass through Sagittarius. And you can also think about Deneb, the swan, flies south through the Milky Way. Let me turn off the atmosphere here. So Cygnus flies south through the Milky Way, and of course the center of the Milky Way is right in Sagittarius. So two ways to find it, as long as you know either the star Antares or the summer triangle. And I'm going to give my atmosphere back. The first very coolest thing about Sagittarius is the center of the galaxy is right here. Sagittarius A star, right off the spout of the teapot. It's a super massive black hole, some 41 million solar masses. It's crazy. it would fill up the space around the sun a little less than halfway to Mercury if it were placed in our galaxy, but 41 million times more massive than the sun. We're not going to see this in our telescopes naturally, but it is cool that it's there. If you want to find more information about Sagittarius A star, Rebecca Lewis Merrill, our newsletter editor, works for a group out of UCLA that is studying this, this object. And the leader of her group, Andrea Getz, won part of the 2020 Nobel Prize in Physics for her discovery that the center of our galaxy is filled with a supermassive compact object, another way to say black hole. And she wrote, she gave us 3 pages in our June newsletter about Sagittarius A star, so you can get more information about it there. So for us, it's just cool that it's there because we're not going to see it. So let's take a look at some of the objects. I want to mention about these other objects. Of the 109 Messier objects, 15 of them are in Sagittarius. More Messier objects than any other constellation. So that's the other cool thing about it. 7 of these are magnitude 6 or brighter, which means, well, magnitude 6 is supposed to represent the naked eye limit. Of course, that's not the naked eye limit when you're in town, but it is the range where even in town, we can spot most of these objects with a small telescope. So that's the cool thing. I'm going to show you several objects tonight that you can see without having to leave town. Just set up your telescope in your backyard if you have the right conditions, and you can see a bunch of these. So M8, the Lagoon Nebula, if you think about the spout of the teapot emitting some steam, it's like the first puff of smoke out of there. So that's a very cool, it's a magnitude 6. So should be fairly easy to spot. I usually spot this right off the bat when I look at Sagittarius. So this is like better than a go-to telescope, huh? M20 is the Trifid Nebula. This is a little trickier. I think it's, yeah, about magnitude 8 or greater. It's known for these dark dust clouds that pass through it. This one might be a little difficult to get a good view of in town, but the rest of them that we look at here should be easier. Let's see. M21, Webb's Cross. This is an open cluster. And again, all of these are still part of what we call the puffs of steam. If I expand out a little bit, the puffs of steam coming out of the spout of the teapot. And this M21, Webb's Cross up here, pretty much in line with the top of the teapot. If you look at these 2 stars, they point pretty close to M21. You know that M20 is down here and M8 down there. They're all fairly close together. Still part of the steam, and magnitude 5.5 is an open cluster. This is M23. And let's see, where am I? What's next? M24, of course. So all of these in the same general vicinity. here we have the Sagittarius star cloud. So this is, a little under a magnitude 5. So that should be accessible from most backyards. And moving over a little bit, we have an open cluster. And to give you a sense where we've gone, we've simply gone from the spout up in this region, straight up from this, the top, and then curved over a little bit towards the Sagittarius cloud. And now we're going over, coming down the other direction. So this is the an open cluster M25. The Sagittarius star cloud is kind of considered the top of the steam. So if you think of the steam as coming up, bending over a little bit. So you get those first few objects right, just coming straight up from there. M25, M22, we don't want to miss that. So M22 is a star cluster, and it's called the Great Sagittarius Cluster. So it must be pretty cool. I have not looked at this, even though I should have by now. But as you can see, it's coming up the handle of the pot, points pretty close to it, about 1.5 of those handle widths away. Let's see, M17 is about the last of the magnitude 6 guys. And it's up here, it's still considered part of Sagittarius, even though it's looks like it's closer to Scutum. But like I said, if you think it's not actually considered part of this team, but it still follows that same general curved line where you come up and then curved out in this direction past that star cloud. All in all, lots of objects here. Let me go ahead and let's see. Where's my, here it is, the deep space objects. So we come closer in, we see that we've got M70, which is a globular cluster. A lot of these, the ones that I'm not highlighting, they are dimmer. You're probably going to have to get out of town a little bit to catch these, but there are a bunch in this area. The software I'm using, by the way, is Stellarium. It's free and very cool, very useful. And that about covers my main reasons why Sagittarius is my favorite constellation. One, the center of the galaxy is there, so long as we remain somewhat close to Earth anyway. And you have several objects you can enjoy at night from your backyard without having to pack up and head out of town anywhere. Questions? I will stop my share then and turn things back over to Mike, or Jeff, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All righty, so Paul, you feel like going next? You're muted, I can't hear you.
All right, yes, okay.
You're on.
Let's see here. Hang on. Sure. Okay. All right, so last year I wanted to learn how to shoot the Milky Way, and about a week before we were do our field trip, the forest fire started, and we were wiped out. So they postponed it for a year, and so finally we went up to Ice House Terrace off of Route 50, Union Valley Reservoir. So from about 9:30 till midnight, I shot about 30 photographs, just using my camera and a wide angle lens. And so I varied the balance, the white balance, the time I shot, and the focus ratio and everything. So here we go. So this is kind of a sequence of the shots that I took. So let's see here. So as you can see, it got a little brighter. We were looking out over a lake. So as you can see here, there's actually a meteorite, I guess. It's amazing what you can catch when you're out there. Please move this window away from the shared application. All right, I don't know. Can everybody see it okay?
Yep.
Okay.
These were long exposures, Paul, like 30
I
minute
varied it
long.
anywhere from 10 seconds up to 25 seconds. And my white balance was about 4,000. So it was a pretty nice night, good and clear.
What lens were you using?
I was using a 1.8 Sony wide angle lens.
Nice.
Paid a lot of money for that.
I bet it's pretty fast.
But I've used it, so it's good.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of go through them. I don't have a great explanation like Jerry does. Ice House Terrace was about 15 miles up a long winding road.
What's the focal length of that lens? Like 14 or 18?
Focal length, it's, shit, I don't know.
Must be really wide. It's really nice view.
I will look it up.
That's a nice one, Paul, right there.
Yeah.
It's nice and bright. And we can see, aren't we looking at Jerry's Sagittarius constellation there in the bottom center?
Probably somewhere here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the whole Ufiuchi cloud
Yeah.
complex right there.
Mhm.
One of the advantages of still being in town is that, yeah, the teapot is easier to spot.
So one of the things that I'm working on, if we have our December presentation, and Jeff is going to ask for volunteers, I bought a ZWO camera, astronomy camera, ASI 482, and it's a color camera, and I'm just learning how to use it. So I've made a little progress, but not enough. So hopefully by December time, I will have some photographs to show you guys. Oh, that was the beginning. So. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Over here in the lower left-hand corner is where the Milky Way begins to show at about 9:30. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you, Paul. Those are great shots. The we got Jason and Tim. Which one of you guys would like to go next?
I'll let Jason go ahead. I'm looking forward to seeing his images.
Okay.
All right, Jason
Let's see.
Keys.
Here, I'll try and share my screen. Laura's going to help me because I'm inept with Zoom. Share screen. Oh, this one here. And then share. And then I can do,
We can see your screen now, Jason.
okay. Okay, so let me hide myself there. Yeah, so I'd like to do a lot of imaging. Really, I love visual astronomy too, but I got into imaging years ago because I can see with a camera what I can see with my eyes. So I wanted to do some imaging in Cepheus and Cassiopeia, which I have stellarium like Jerry had there. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, but the areas right off here, there's Polaris, and then Cepheus is circumpolar really, but I'm using it for my summer targets this year because there's a lot of cool stuff in this area. So I think in Jeff's email, he said, what kind of equipment are you using? So I basically will have two setups that I like to use. The one will be this William Optics 61 millimeter lens. That's actually 360 millimeter focal length. And I want to use that with my modified Canon 300D, which is a really old camera. And that combination will give me a field of view of 3.16 times 2.4 degrees field of view. And the other combo that I have is the Skywatcher EvoStar 72. They're both doublets, and I have correctors on them to get them as flat as possible. But that one's 420 millimeters, and I'll just use my T3i with that, which is, I think, the same camera that Tim's got. And that gives me a 3.04 by 2.03 degree field of view. And with that first combo, because it's lighter, I'll use the Skywatcher Star Adventurer. It doesn't have guiding, but it tracks really well with that setup. And then for the little bit heavier setup there, I'll use my CGEM, which I can guide with, use auto guiding. About a month ago, I found this really awesome program that's on the internet. It's called telescopius.com. And you can put your particular gear into this website, and it will actually give you your field of view. So you can frame what you want your objects to look like before you ever go out. So you know where your object's going to be once you start imaging. And let's see, this is just a screenshot of it, but you can see up on the screen here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but this 420, and then my sensor size is 22 by 15. That's my T3i, that's the sensor size in that DSLR camera, and then my Skywatcher's 420 millimeters. So one object I've actually started imaging on this one already is the Iris Nebula that's in Cepheus. And when I get to the end, I'll show you where all these are. I probably should have done that up front. But anyway, with that setup, the Skywatcher and the T3i, it's going to give me a field of view that's roughly this size. And this is sort of how I want to frame it and how I have it framed. And I'll show you what I've done with my own image later on. But anyway, that's one of the targets that I'm after. And another one is the Elephant Trunk Nebula in Cepheus as well. And that big bright red star there is the Garnet Star. So I'll use the Skywatcher with this. I don't have any kind of go-to on this. Everything I do with it, I have to find myself. So I have a red dot finder, which Tim showed me his, and I was like, wow, that's perfect. And so I put that, because it's super light, on that setup that'll only hold 5 kilograms. And so I could find this with the naked eye. And then based on where that Garnet Star is, I knew that I would capture this whole nebulosity that's mostly hydrogen alpha. And this little part right here is what's called the Elephant Trunk Nebula. And the 1396 by itself is just that Elephant Trunk Nebula. And if you put the A with it, then it's this whole nebulosity area. I guess whoever submitted the pictures for Telescopius had an airplane that flew through their image, because I see those 3 lines there. But this, I'll use the Z61, which is 360 millimeters, and the 300D, because the regular filter that's in our DSLR cameras, it blocks the hydrogen alpha, but I had that filter taken out and a Vader put in that would allow the, what is it? I can't remember, 659 nanometers. Someone can correct me, but is that hydrogen alpha wavelength? Anyway, so it would collect more hydrogen alpha.
653, somewhere around 653.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So that's another target that I'm after. I've actually collected a little bit of time on this, but I want to get some more to try and get a better image. And then another one that I'm interested in, and this is down in Cassiopeia, is the Bubble Nebula, which this really bright blown out area right here is where the Bubble Nebula is. And then M52 is right over here. And there's this kind of sharpless object here. I don't know the name of it, but all this nebulosity would fit inside of my Skywatcher. It's pretty dim. I think the Bubble Nebula is a magnitude of 10. M52 is pretty easy to pick up. It's a 6.9. So I'll want to use, I might want to use a different camera. Right now I have the T3i, but I might use the 300D because of all of the hydrogen alpha that's in this area. And then the Heart Nebula, which I've imaged in the past, but with a really bad lens, I want to try and do again, maybe this summer. And this is relatively bright. The surface brightness is 6.5, but it's a lot of hydrogen alpha and takes a lot of time to pick this stuff up. And then right next to it is the Sol Nebula, and I don't have a wide enough lens, although I think the one we just saw would pick up all this area. But with the equipment that I have, I want to try and get the Sol Nebula as well. I've seen people who frame all this together, and it's really can be just beautiful. And then this one, I saved the screenshot, and it shows how you can pick the camera. So I have all this equipment saved in Telescopius, both of my cameras, and then it shows you your sensor size and everything. So it's really fantastic if anybody's interested in, framing their shots up in advance. And then the last image that I am interested in this summer is the Fireworks Galaxy, which is in Cepheus, and then this Seahor Barnard Dark Nebula, which, I think this would probably be the toughest target because this is fairly small. The Fireworks Galaxy, it's a 9.6. I'm sure I can pick that up with some time, but this dark nebula here, I'm hoping that I can capture that and do it justice. So those are the 6 targets that I'm interested in. And then here's some previous attempts I've made at some of these targets. There's my Heart Nebula. I did this maybe 6 years ago, and I used a Canon kit lens. It was one of those 75-300 lenses. I think I bought it for $75 off of eBay. And I had to crop out the edges because there was so much field curvature in it. But yeah, I made sure and centered this so I could, pull out my main object. And then this one I did in May at the heliport. I need more time on it, and I think it's a little soft. I'd like to reprocess it, but it's only about an hour of time. That's 84 60-second shots, stacked together with Deep Sky Stacker. And then there's an old version of the Elephant Trunk Nebula that I did, maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. And I used a friend's Orion ED80 that I think was like an F7 with that modified 300D. And that was 14 10-minute exposures. That CGEM I have, it's pretty nice. I don't think it's as nice as the astrophysics that Jeff has, but but it guided really well for 10-minute shots, and I was able to get that. And then there's my attempt at the Bubble Nebula. That was, maybe in 2013 or something. And you can see it's kind of out of focus, but, I was just sort of getting started with all of this. And So I'd really like to redo this at a wider field of view and capture a lot of that nebulosity. You can kind of see where it's starting to peak through here, but I didn't give it enough time. And then this one is probably one of my favorite ones that I've done this year. I took about half of these in May, and then when we were all out at the heliport for the last new moon, I did the other half of these images. And so this is 129 2-minute exposure, so it's like 4 hours of time roughly, and I did that with the Skywatcher. And I had a field flattener on it, although it didn't quite get the corners all the way. I might have to adjust it a little bit. Anyway, that's my Iris Nebula. And so those are all of mine. And then here's where they actually lay within Cepheus and Cassiopeia. Way up here is the fireworks galaxy. I don't know why Stellarium didn't know it, or maybe I wasn't zoomed in far enough. And then the Iris Nebula is on top of Cepheus, and the elephant trunk is kind of over here. Down here is where the bubble nebula is. Stellarium knows the bubble nebula, but I think I needed to be zoomed in farther. And then way down here under Cassiopeia is the heart and the soul nebulas, which hopefully I have like 3 or 4 days at the end of this month that I'm going to be able to do some imaging, and hopefully I can go camping for a couple days and then meet whoever is going to be at the heliport on my last day. So I think that's the end. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. That was a blast.
Nice images.
I wish I could shoot like that, but I'd rather look at somebody else's nice shots and suffer through taking my own.
It's a lot of time. It was a learning curve, kind of steep. I was looking back at a lot of my older images, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I usually don't look back at them, but because I was preparing this and trying to find some of my old images that I liked, I just was able to see the progression, and it was kind of fun.
All right, well, thank you very much. Tim Clark is up.
Okay. As soon as you stop sharing, Jason, I'll be able to.
I'm going to go ahead and mute myself.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my Zoom to open up. How do I do it? Okay, there. Sorry, guys.
Okay. So thanks, Jeff, for doing this. I think this is great that we all kind of get to show and tell our favorite objects in the sky and what we like to go for. Because when you brought that up, I thought, well, what is the thing that I really like to in the summertime go out and view? And first thing came to mind was the summer triangle. So some of you may have had your summer vacation already. Some of you have maybe visited the Bermuda Triangle, but now we're going to take you to the summer triangle. So this object is really kind of one of my favorites because it's just loaded with deep sky objects, and it's a whole night of viewing plus. So it's got all these different objects in it. It's got 5 different constellations, 2 different asterisms, 5 different nebula, 3 star clusters, 5 outstanding distinguished stars. Jerry, I can't compete with your 17M objects in Sagittarius, but I've got 5 here in the summer triangle. So what is the summer triangle? Well, quite simply, it's at the north end of the Milky Way, and it's a triangle formed by the 3 bright stars, Vega, Deneb, and Altair, with the Milky Way running right through it. So it's really easy to find, and it spans 40 degrees in diameter and can really easily be seen anywhere from late spring through early fall. So let me back up to that. The first star, top Vega, is probably familiar to everyone. That's a blue-white main sequence star, 25 light years away, 0 magnitude. And interestingly enough, in 12,000 BC, Vega was our North Star because of, as Jerry told us about the precession of the Earth. And so if we wait around again till 4000 AD, it'll be the North Star again. Altair is another main sequence star of 1.8 solar masses at a distance of 16 light years. And interestingly, the name Altair is Arabic for the flying eagle. And then Deneb at the north end of the summer triangle is another blue-white star in the constellation Cygnus, magnitude 1.3, 19 solar masses, and 1,400 light years away. So it's quite a ways from compared to the other stars. And at that distance, the star's luminosity is 200,000 times our own sun. So it really makes it one of the most luminous stars that we know of. So the constellations that are associated with the summer triangle are Cygnus, the swan, Lyra, the harp, Aquila, the eagle, Vulpecula, the fox, a smaller constellation in the center of the summer triangle, and Sagitta, the arrow. So also within the summer triangle are two different asterisms. First of all, the Northern Cross, which are probably familiar to just about everyone. It's very obvious because it's formed by the head of the cross, or the top of the cross is Deneb, and the end of the cross, or the bottom of the cross, as it's laying horizontally, is Alberio, the binary star. And so it's these 5 stars that form the Northern Cross. And then the second asterism in the summer triangle is the coat hanger. And this is one of the first objects that I found in the night sky through binoculars, laying on my back on a blanket in the backyard and just staring up through the binoculars at the night sky. And I stumbled across this and I came back to it, and I couldn't believe my eyes that sure enough, there was a coat hanger right there in the sky. Sometimes it's called Brocchi's cluster. It's these 10 stars that they're not actually a cluster. Only like 6 of them are thought to be in a cluster themselves, but the other 10, the other 4 stars are visual companions in the asterism. So, and then the summer triangle is just loaded with nebula. So we've got the Ring Nebula, the Dumbbell. Those are probably familiar with everybody. The Veil Nebula, which the North America Nebula, the Pelican Nebula. And so I want to focus on those and walk you through these. So this is an image that Jason shot. Jason, thank you for this image of M57, the Ring Nebula. Really kind of a glorious planetary nebula. And through a small telescope, it looks like this perfect donut in the night sky. And little refresher course for y'all, a planetary nebula is the remains of a sun-like star at the end of its life that's blown away its outer envelope, and it leaves a planet-sized white dwarf at the center. Really neat objects to view. The other one in the summer triangle is the Dumbbell Nebula M27, another planetary nebula 1,400 light years away in the constellation Vulpecula. And it's easily seen in binoculars, and it will reveal these beautiful colors and this knotty, gnarly bob in astro images if you really zoom on it and get some really good resolution on it. So this is an image I shot up at Peddler Hill 2 summers ago when I was just learning to do some astro imaging. So wanted to share that with you. Here's another image. This is the Veil Nebula that Jason's shot I thought this was spectacular. You can really see the filaments and the definition of the nebula. And what this is it's a remnant of a supernova explosion that occurred 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. And while it's often difficult to see visually, usually if you throw an O3 filter on your scope, you'll isolate that wavelength of light that the nebula is emitting, and it really can pop out and be a nice object to view in the summer triangle. Okay, this image is of the North American nebula, also right on the edge of the summer triangle. And this is NGC 7000. It's an emission nebula near Deneb, and Deneb is that star on the right there, upper right. And the nebula is 3 degrees in diameter and covers an area more than 4 times the size of the full moon. It's right adjacent to the Pelican Nebula. In fact, they actually share part of the same interstellar cloud of ionized hydrogen. I thought this apod image was really, really cool because it's this superimposed mountain terrain from British Columbia in Canada in the foreground, and then the long exposures that gave the imager the nebula. And then the last nebula in the summer triangle is the Pelican Nebula, and this is again more of the same interstellar cloud from that shares adjacent to the North American Nebula, and it's really profound or really pronounced dark dust lanes that you can see, and defines the shape of the pelican. I've never had much luck viewing this visually through my scope, even with filters. It's pretty faint, but so that's where you kind of need some astro imaging to bring out the detail and the definition of it. Okay, there's 3 star clusters in the summer triangle. There's M29, an open cluster, M71, a globular cluster, and M39, another open cluster. And so I've got some images of these. M39 is an open cluster in Cygnus, and you can see the blanket of stars in the background, and then the clusters kind of popping out with a few stars. And it's actually one of the nearest clusters I've read that is nearest to Earth after the Pleiades and the Beehive clusters. And then M29 in the upper right-hand corner is a really nice open cluster also in Cygnus. This one was discovered by Charles Messier in 1764, and it's a visual magnitude of 6.6. M71, the globular cluster, I just saw this up at the heliport a couple weekends ago, and it looked through my scope almost exactly like this image does. It's just a sparkling gem of this loose globular cluster, kind of really a joy to see through the eyepiece. It's in the constellation Sagitta, and it's really kind of easy to find between 2 stars because it's at magnitude 8. So also, I wanted to point out some significant stars. In addition to the 3 defining stars of Vega, Altair, and Deneb, we've got the double-double up near Vega, and Aberio kind of near the center of the triangle, and at the tail of Cygnus, or the Northern Cross. Aberio is a magnitude 3 binary star, 400 light years from Earth, and it's just this beautiful gem of a pair of stars of indigo and gold. And I'm sure you all have seen it because it's a pretty popular star to find and then to view through a telescope, and it's always amazing the beautiful color that is in those 2 stars. And then the double, I just saw this for the first time a couple weeks ago also, up near Vega. And this double, as they call it, is actually 2 pairs of binary stars. So each one of those stars is a binary. And I think I even read that one of them is a triple system, but those 2 binaries are actually rotating around each other. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And that's about 160 light years from Earth. So that's my presentation of the summer triangle. Again, it's a beautiful area to view. You don't have to move the scope around very much to see it, and it's really easy to find. It's up all summer long, and so when you're not viewing Orion in the winter, you can view the summer triangle the rest of the year. So I want to thank you for that, and I'll turn it back over to you then, Mike.
Hey, Tim, on that one picture of Albireo, the one that you had that was on the left, do you know who took that picture or where that photograph came from?
I don't. I can find out. I think it was an APOD, but I'll research that, Jeff, and check it out. Why do you ask? What's significant about this particular photo? Or
it has 5 diffraction spikes, which doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
And so I'm really curious where this picture came from.
Oh, it had 2.5 veins on it.
Maybe they imaged it through a Batinov mask or something.
Yeah.
You still get opposing spikes. I don't understand how.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, Tim, if you could ever find out, I'd really like to know.
Yeah, interesting question. Thanks, Jeff.
I'm wondering if there's some artistic liberty on that thing.
Could be. Could be.
Well, all 4 of you guys are awesome. Isn't it fun when we have a homegrown shot like this? This is really awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to hand it over to Mike.
Okay, well, again, thank you, gentlemen. Every one of those were very interesting, and I love having this homegrown thing. It's nice to have.
Thank you guys for volunteering.
Thank you very much. All right, so there's an order of business. If you folks have looked at the newsletter, you will have found somewhere down there that we need a vote on something. So let me give you a little bit of background real quick, and if there's any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay.
And we'll make a vote.
I stutter too much.
Okay.
You say
So-
too many times.
Somebody's got their microphone on.
You were spitting out numbers and.
Oh,
Peace. Okay. All right.
Jason.
All right. So our dear sweet treasurer, Mr. Hyatt, has retired. And he has informed us that he will no longer, as of the end of this month, be able to get us a Zoom connection through the university. So we have to do it on our own. Let me explain to you how important this is. What we're doing right now wouldn't be possible without a Zoom connection. The amount of money we're asking to sign up for Zoom with our own private account is $150. If you think back when we used to have our guests speak at the University of the Pacific, when they would come over here, by the time we fed them and paid for their gas, that was about a month's worth right there. So we're getting a heck of a bargain by having this, and perhaps maybe we'll be able to have public meetings. It's still a ways off. So we really need to make a decision on this very quickly. And if you don't, well, I won't have to talk to you guys. I think it's really important that we vote on this. Are there any questions or concerns about what's going on? It's a very small amount of money. We have lots of money in the bank right now.
So is it 150 per year?
Yes, 150
So
per
what
year.
we're voting on is an ongoing
Yeah.
150 per year.
Until otherwise notified, because maybe something will come along that's better and we can make adjustments. But for the time being, this is what we need. Any questions from any of you out in Zoom land?
I just want to remind everyone that we had a presentation from Antarctica this year. Not possible without Zoom, whether we're in person or not.
Yeah, it's opened us up. I mean, we don't know the future of COVID. We don't know where we are even going to be able to permanently meet. And this might be the most important vehicle we have
Yeah,
now.
and even if we do have a means to have our meetings and COVID is no longer an issue, We need people from out of this area. That gives us a much bigger amount of people that can speak to us, and it just makes it easier for us to get people to speak. Okay, so any questions?
Dennis will come.
Yeah, hi Dennis. I didn't see you.
Hi.
Please speak.
No question, just do it. I move that we do so.
Okay, well, we need to take a vote here. Okay.
Yeah, the
so-
bottom line is because of our bylaws, we can't just, the board couldn't just do it. We had to bring it to vote.
Okay, so we can either do it by just saying aye or nay, or if you want to go ahead and Jeff is willing to.
I think Bill has a question.
Oh, no,
Yes,
I'm
Bill.
voting.
Oh, okay.
You can't vote yet. Come on, hang on there. Patience.
To keep it legal, Dennis just moved that we vote for it, and I'm going to second it.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and have the vote. Okay, all of those in favor of passing this resolution, please say aye.
Turn on your microphones.
Turn on your
Aye.
lights.
Aye.
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 3 ayes.
How many nays?
Aye.
Okay, how many nays do we have? Sounds
Horses
unanimous.
only.
All right, so I declare it being passed. Thank you, everyone, folks. That's very good. So we are still in business. Okay, so I have an announcement to make, and I've been president now on my 4th term. I'm retired. I'd like to have some free time. Just so put it in perspective, 3 American presidents, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump were all born the same year I was, and I'm the only one that's still president. Go figure. So enough is enough.
You're in good company, Mike.
All of you that have been helpful, had a fantastic executive board. I think most of them are going to stay, I hope so. But it's time for me to ride off in the sunset. And so at the end of this year, I'm not going to run. So thank you ever so much, folks.
You did a good job, Mikey.
Thank you. Okay, you want to say anything, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm not going to run next year either.
He's not as eloquent as I am. I'm not running.
Busy. About to become busier. So yeah.
All right. So what I would like to say is we have a lot of talent and very capable people in this club. And I would hope that some of you will consider running for office this year. It's a lot of fun. It is time consuming, especially to do it well. But these are important things that we need to do to keep the club running properly. And so please consider it. This will give everyone a little bit of time, several months at least, to consider what they can do. And it doesn't have to be president or vice president, but anyone that's willing to contribute would be greatly appreciated. Okay. So you want to do the
Eric Holland won tonight's Starbucks card. Congratulations,
what
Eric.
it do?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Did you win once before?
I don't think so.
Okay, then you're due.
Well, now you have. Congratulations.
Thank you.
One thing I thought I'd mention, I don't have much to say about it, but I'm sure all of you have seen the photographs there from the James Webb telescope, excuse me. And I was profoundly impressed. They were showing some of the resolution between the Hubble and the James Webb. And it's obvious the resolution is far superior. Wouldn't you say, Jeff?
And the depth.
Yeah, and the depth, just everything. So I am so excited about what it's going to bring up.
Almost no processing required.
Well, they were saying that one view from Hubble, it had that very small, tiny area with all the galaxies towards the beginning of the Big Bang. And they, I think that took 2 weeks to take all the photos with that. And I think it took 1 hour to do the one with the Webb telescope, and it blew it away. So this is pretty cool. This is really something we all have to look forward to.
So 2 pictures, $10 billion. That's $5 billion a picture.
Wait, if you count all the stars, it's cheaper.
Oh, okay.
In the galaxies. So one way to look at it.
I thought I spent too much money on my telescope.
Now, somebody explain the physics of it to me, if you could. The James Webb is viewing in infrared, and the advantage of doing that is you can see further into the past.
Well, it also crosses over into the visual spectrum, but they're able to look at colder objects, dust. As far as cosmological distance, I don't know. Jerry, Neil.
One of the things that I saw in some of the images is that it has the ability to basically look through the dust. So I think there was an image of like the Southern Ring Nebula. It showed like a galaxy behind the nebula that you normally couldn't see, but because it's able to see through the nebula with the infrared, it's able to pick up that galaxy behind it. It also was able to pick up, it was also able to distinguish that there are actually two stars at the center instead of just one. So, so that is one of the benefits of the infrared, is to be able to peer through the dust lanes.
Also, I saw that one image where they were actually able to image a Borg cube, which is really cool.
What?
Yeah, I want to say one thing for what it's worth. I vaguely remember in physics and optics that scattering of light is inversely proportional to the fourth power of the wavelength. Now, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, what I remember is that just a small difference in wavelength, as the wavelength gets longer towards red, there's less scattering. So the difference between visible light and infrared is significant in the sense that by the time you apply that fourth power, you can see through a lot of dust in infrared as opposed to a normal wavelength. So that's one of the big advantages of the Webb telescope. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it, whether it's right or wrong.
All right, all right.
Okay, are there any topics that we need to talk about that anyone wants to bring up as new business or unfinished business? I can't think of anything. Jerry, you look like you're full of ideas.
It's full of something.
Just real quick, I'm at the Nature Center and I'm testing out a 5G internet here. So maybe if the rest of the board just has a few minutes after the meeting, we see if I can share something and see how well it's shared.
That was a good idea to go there.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
very cool.
I have a question. Has anybody seen Comet Pantstar? Has anybody
See what?
Comet Pantstar?
I haven't.
Tonight is supposed to be one of the best nights to view it. It's going to be closest to Earth.
Oh,
I don't know if anybody knew about that. I'm going to try to go out and see if I can find it.
I think what in 2013 I took several images of it and made a little JPEG video of about 20 images of Pan-STARRS as it passed by Earth whenever it first came. I think it was 2013 or something, if anybody remembers. But yeah, it's really awesome to see. If it's closer now, it should look even better.
It's supposed to be in the southern sky. I think between Antares and the moon. It's going to be somewhere in that area.
Nice.
There's a bright moon out there tonight.
Yeah, that's the downfall. It's the moon.
Are you
But it'll
gonna
still
look
be there in a week from now.
Dana, are you gonna look for it?
I'm sorry?
Are you gonna look for it tonight?
I'm going to try. Yeah,
Let us know if you see it.
yeah, I will.
Yeah, just a note that maybe we'll have a chance to see it at the Moke Hill Star Party. I think we're going to have about an hour and a half before the moon rises. So hopefully that'll give us a window.
Yeah, I think the moon rises right around 11 that night. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Tonight it's right near the globular cluster M10.
Oh, cool.
All right, anything else, folks? Okay, I'm going to adjourn the meeting tonight. Since I didn't call it to order, I guess there's no point.
Call to order.
There you go. We're going to close it. Okay. Anyway, good night, everyone. Thank you for attending. Thank you all for your wonderful, I don't know, this is a great presentation.
Great presentations.
Thank you.
That was fun. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Very good tonight. Thank you all.
I guess we should stick around here.
Yeah.
for Eric.
Night,
Hey,
everybody.
Martin,
Night.
Oops.
hey,
Uh-oh.
Martin, are you posting
Yes.
updates for the McCollum Hill Star Party on the Yahoo chat board?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
I was gonna just ask if you're gonna be able to post updates for on the status of the Star Party on the Yahoo.
Yes. I think I should be able to do it for the on the chat, the group chat, right?
Good, you got enrolled in it.
I did request it. So I think I am enrolled in that. So if there's any changes, I'll check it out just to verify that I am enrolled. But if there's any changes or whatever, we'll put a notice there.
Good.
If you know, also if you have any questions about accessibility, you know, it is a hilltop. It is a near hilltop location. You can call Dom, and he can give you the logistics on his property.
Hey, Martin, I saw a Nucio on here, but it wasn't Dom. It might have been him with it, maybe a wife's or something.
It could have, yes, because he might have been used.
Yeah, he's not connected now. I don't see him on here.
No,
Yeah.
he's still there.
Who is?
He's at the bottom of the list. Yeah.
iPad Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy. Yeah. Dom, are you there? Maybe he can't speak.
Oh yeah. Oh. Dom, if you can unmute, we can hear you. Oh, well.
Jerry, I have a question for you. It's Neil here.
Oh, hi, Neil.
Where you've recorded some of the talks and it appears marked as recorded, are those available in a way that I could get a hold of once I happen to miss?
I can send the link to you. It'll probably take till tomorrow or so before it gets processed properly, but yeah, I can do that. I'll make a note.
Okay, I'll give you a phone call.
All right.
Well, aren't the links to the previous meetings, are they on the website?
No, I don't think so. You put them up there, Eric?
I've been archiving them to YouTube, but I haven't made anything available to the public. I can. I mean, I can if that's something we want to do, make them all public, or if Neil has one in particular he wants to go back and view, I can just send him the link to see it. So even though they're not made public, I can provide the link and anybody can see it at any time.
Center did that. Yeah.
The one I'd particularly like to see is the new fellow at the physics department at UOP who talked on gravitational wave detectors.
Oh, yeah.
I missed that talk.
We had two really good talks on gravity waves, Neil.
I saw the second one.
Oh, okay.
By the fellow from Canada.
Yeah. Can do that.
Thinking about buying a gravity detector, Neil? Hey, Eric, how's the reception been out at the Nature Center?
I'll share my speed tests with you guys. I have a document with several taken last Saturday and today, as well as using it at my home for comparison. So far, I'm thinking it's working okay. I think it's faster speeds than I'm receiving with Wi-Fi at my house. So I don't really see any real reason why we can't use the device, other than they actually don't list this area being supported. I'm not sure why. If I was to specify this address and check for availability, it says no, it's not available. When I got the device, I used my home address, and so it was available. So I don't know if we decide to keep it long term, if I should really notify them or not about where it's really being used, because I don't know if they'll somehow turn off the service or something, but because it's technically not supposed to be not available. But I'll write all that up and share it with you guys, so you have a clearer understanding of it. So let me go ahead and share something if I can.
This is the T-Mobile sample device, right? That they gave you for a 2-week trial or something you were telling us about?
That is correct. I need to cancel it unless we decide to keep it. But if I don't cancel it, then they'll start charging me. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to come here tonight and test it out, because I've had the device for a week now. So we really need to make a decision on whether or not we want to keep it or not. But I wanted to follow up with Doug and see if the park wants to pay part of the cost if we decide to keep it. But I'll try to write it all up for you guys so you have a good comparison with T-Mobile, with the other carriers and all that stuff, and my speed tests, and so we can make a decision. Ultimately, there really isn't anything else in the area other than T-Mobile. I know Jerry, the other day at the park on Saturday, Jerry had supposedly 5G reception, so that Bill Lytle had 5G reception, but I don't believe it's true 5G reception. It just says 5G on your phone, but it really couldn't be 5G. It has to be 4G because there aren't any 4G. There aren't any other 5G towers in the area. So that's why I've come to that conclusion. But yeah, like I said, I'll write it all up. So if I can, let me go ahead and share some. I'll share like a YouTube video like we tried to do the previous time and see if it plays okay.
You know, as you're talking right now, Eric, you're a little garbled. Jeff or Jerry, you guys?
Yeah, I was going to say, sounds gravelly.
I think it's garbled because I'm the only one in this room and there's an echo. I can hear the echo while I'm in here myself. So that I don't know if that's part of it or not. I'll have to go watch the recorded video after the fact and compare it and see if it sounds like what I'm hearing.
Okay. So what, by you playing this YouTube video, we're going to test the maximum bandwidth capabilities here?
Yeah, I just want to let me pause it. First off, do you hear the audio from the video?
No.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
No.
It is amazing.
No. Okay.
No.
Delays.
So
I'm still alive to see it. God dang, that's great.
if I can, let me
I know there's a Zoom setting on Zoom that you have to enable.
yeah, I wanted to go to look at that.
Folks, this is Martin. Just an update here. Dom called me and he couldn't get his mic to work, but he just wanted me to let you know that for the Star Party at Moke Hill, he has plenty of room up there, plenty of parking space, room for trailers and such if you need a trailer to bring your scope up.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Martin.
I told you my drive system works. I still can change it. Battery and a belt drive on it. And change my clutch.
I'm waiting for Mike Studer to get that stuff done up there so I can get cooking on it.
It'll be worth it to get that thing driven.
Okay, so that it?
No, we're waiting. We're waiting on you, right, Eric?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm changing my speaker from my Bluetooth headset to just my computer. See if you can hear the audio through the computer. Let me go back to sharing. I don't see my screen anymore. There we go.
We can see your screen. I don't hear any YouTube audio yet. I think I do now.
I don't.
No, I don't.
That's really cool. Go
I
ahead.
think that was Mike breathing heavy.
Gold on the coating.
Yeah, Bob over San Carlo told me how to figure out how thick the aluminum is. And it knows that the little wire uses.
Distant stars
Told
for
me that
over
long.
30
There it
years.
is, Derek.
Much of Webb's power comes from
Goes
its
all
massive
directions.
primary mirror,
And
which is
on
more
your
than
4
21
pi
feet
r
wide,
squared
giving
sphere,
it more than 6
it's
times the
occupied
light collecting
subject
area
matter.
of Hubble has.
Now we can hear the
Telescope
YouTube audio,
sensitivity,
Eric.
basically how much detail
Okay, it's a
you can see
special setting that you have
depends
to
on the
enable.
size of the mirror area.
I'm hoping to buy
Because
that.
the more light a telescope
Does the video seem to be playing okay on your end?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet though.
mirror can collect, the more
Funny
able it
looking
is to see objects in finer detail that are farther away.
Webb is situated about 1 million miles away from Earth, where it can get a clear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tim said he could hear the video.
We could hear it, but barely.
Aluminum isn't radiating here. It works just fine.
Can you turn the volume up?
Gold.
Looked like there was a slide bar on the volume and it wasn't all the way up. Try that.
Clear view of these details. It also has a sun
That's
shield
better.
that protects it from external sources of light
In
and
our
heat,
telescope.
like the sun, Earth, and moon.
Because Webb is operating
The
much
trick
farther.
is to photograph.
Let me try the Bluetooth again.
Okay.
Let's see if there's a difference.
See that then you go.
We're doing a blink comparator on it.
Yeah. It'll have a little circular route.
We're muted.
No, we're not. Would you like to be?
No.
That's weird.
I like all the Facebook memes on the James Webb scope, where the Hubble telescope is jealous because of the James Webb scope, stuff like that. It's hilarious.
Oh.
The conspiracy theories are not sit down and keep the light trying to destroy Earth. Right.
You know the dumbest things are going to come out.
Or Eric, don't you also have the option of returning that T-Mobile device within the time limit and then going back and picking it up again?
Over and over and over.
I think there's some limits
Once a
on it.
month.
I'm not trying to be facetious, but if you decide that you don't want it right away, but you in 3 months, if we want it.
I don't think they'll allow that.
I'm sorry. I was switching my audio. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did I hear something about taking the device back and then getting it later on? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Freebie.
Yeah. If you decided you didn't want to use it now, and we don't need it for a couple of months, at least you know it works. You could go back and pick it up then. You don't have to decide now, is my point.
Yes, I think we can do that. Whether or not they will, whether or not they have any issue with like me personally doing it again, I don't know. Maybe there'll need to be another member. I don't know. The fact that I created an account and then decided later on, I don't know if you get the same deal or not. But yes, I believe we should be able to do that. I'm gonna share one more time and see if the audio is any louder. One second.
Further from Earth than Hubble is, Webb
that's much
ultimately
better.
does have higher observing efficiency.
Webb also sees the universe differently. Many telescopes are designed to primarily capture visible light, which represents only a sliver of the spectrum of light emitted by stars and other.
So better audio?
Much
Way
better.
Much better. Yeah.
I was playing the audio that way through my Bluetooth headset versus just the audio from my computer. So, okay. I'm sorry. Let me just do one last speed test while it's up. I guess let me do it while I'm playing it.
Celestial objects. In contrast, Webb captures a range of infrared light that is invisible to the human eye, but makes up much of the light that comes our way from the universe.
We're looking at some of the sort of faintest stars, earliest and earliest galaxies in unprecedented detail, and Webb will also help us probe these planets outside of our solar system known as exoplanets.
Scientists can study these exoplanets by measuring the intensity of light at different wavelengths and turning it into a graphical representation, like this exoplanet spectrum released Tuesday.
That's really what enables us, hopefully, to sort of peek into the atmospheres of these exoplanets and ultimately maybe find one with a similar atmosphere to ours.
Scientists are specifically interested in the presence of water or methane because those could indicate there was or is life on those exoplanets.
One of Webb's main scientific objectives really is to help us look for signs of life on other planets outside our solar system.
Images like this deep field observation captured by Webb will also help scientists study the development of celestial objects in the universe over time.
They help us resolve of fainter objects like stars and galaxies that were born much.
I'm not sure we'll make it through.
Okay.
And Eric, I think that's pretty good.
Before they get to that.
Yeah, I think it is doable.
Really sad statement. It's probably true.
I mean, so at my home,
Until you find something that can kill you.
do you see my speed test screen here?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
So at home with just my Wi-Fi, not with the T-Mobile 5G, with Comcast internet, these are the two values here, that one and this one up here. So it was basically 20.7 to 24.46 download and 5.97 upload. And then I was getting amazing speeds here at home, there and here with the T-Mobile, but at the park, looks like we're getting roughly ballpark at around 30 down and 30 to 60 or 70 down, and then about 5 to 6 up, which is reasonable, I feel, especially for something that they claim shouldn't work here.
Nice.
That's not available. So yeah. Okay, I have my test, and I'll inform you guys more about my recommendations and what I feel, so that everybody, those who are missing tonight, can review the information, and then we'll make a decision. I don't think we'll make a decision before the 2 weeks is up, so I'll just plan on canceling it, I think, and then we can decide to get it again. Unless you guys think, yes, definitely go keep it, and we'll go for it. But
Well, Jeff, do we need it in August? Are we going to meet out at the, or are we going to Zoom another program in August?
I don't know. I don't have anything scheduled until the October-November area. And so wherever it is that we're going to be or doing, it's going to have to be tuned to that. So it'd be nice if we could be at the Nature Center at the same time. We do pretty good with the Zoom, as long as we
So back to the Zoom. Now that we can get an account, I'm going to be gone for both meetings in August and for the general meeting in September.
okay. So I was planning on setting up a new email address at GoDaddy. I thought I would just call it like SASCon or something at StocktonAstro.org, and we can use that email address to sign up for Zoom. I guess that's one of the questions is how do we want to do that? Do we want to handle it like we do the web? You know, I basically have have the account and pay for it with my credit card, and then I get reimbursed by Jerry. Do we want to try and take the same approach with the Zoom account, or do we want to pay for it a different way?
I would be in favor of that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You were okay with it, Jerry?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you say something, Jeff?
I just said it would be quicker and efficient that way.
Okay. Then if there aren't any objections, I'll just go ahead and do that, create the email account and sign up for it and let you know when we have it.
Very good.
And in that way, when you setting it up that way, Eric, anybody that's got those login information, like if you were absent or Jerry was absent, and you could pass that login information for the Zoom over to somebody else to host the meeting.
That is what I'm planning, yeah. I believe you just log in with the email account that you use to sign up, and you create a password. If there is some other like two-factor authentication, we can set that up as well, but I don't think you have to do that. If you don't know what two-factor authentication is, that's when you also have to sign up.
We have an Okta account for our Pacific one now, where it is a two-factor thing.
That's right. That's where you approve it on your phone as well for second approval.
Yeah.
But
actually, we have to enter a code in.
Yeah.
And the code changes frequently.
Yep, that's correct. But I don't think you have to do that. I'm sorry, just real quick, I'm noticing the battery on my computer is dying, so I don't know how much longer I have. But I'll go ahead and set that up. And so yeah, you should just, using that email account that I set up, I would think that if we ever need Zoom to email that maybe somebody's waiting to get in or something like that, then I think we would all be able to get that email. I can forward the emails with that account to the rest of the board, and so that we're all visible of any emails coming in from Zoom. But then, yeah, again, to answer your question, Tim, if I'm not at the meeting, Jerry's not at the meeting, whatever, somebody else can have credentials to log in with that email address and the password and just get in. That was the idea.
Good.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. If there isn't anything else, I think I'm done here.
All right.
Thank you, Eric.
Turning off the recording. So we've got